everybody, I'm Beebs Kelley. Welcome back to another video. Today we have just a few updates to discuss. It was Prince George's birthday. Happy birthday to him. The picture is phenomenal. What a great picture to choose. He's growing up so fast, and I am totally behind the Waleses issuing their pictures via social media instead of out to the actual media after what happened with the photo editing, which didn't change the picture at all. It's not like she photoshopped people's faces on there or completely different outfits. So I completely understand the frustration that they felt when the reaction to their retouched photo was so strong and over the top. And of course, there were other factors to it. People did not know the full story behind what was going on with Catherine at the time, and she had just been absent when she had not been for a long time, which is really a testament to how hard she has worked and how much she has been involved with her public life. But ultimately, it was unfair to them as a family, especially because it was a family picture and it did have their children in it. And that would have been difficult to deal with. So the talk of the media is always, of course, now the fact that they're issuing their pictures for these sorts of events and notable occasions like birthdays straight to social media rather than to the media like they used to before, where the media could then put the picture out themselves, then they were able to profit off of it. Now it's a totally different ball game. And I think that that is a good example of taking ownership of the situation and making a change that's subtle without stomping your feet and having a big tantrum, but still accomplishes the goal, which for at least Prince William, but perhaps all of the family, was to safeguard from those sorts of things happening again in the future. And it's definitely a smarter approach, one that you can't really criticize. On the other hand, you have the Sussexes, where pretty much everything they do, they have to make a big tantrum, make big lofty statements, and stomp their feet on their way. And then it ends up not working out as good. And in the press, it doesn't come across as well. And there's plenty to criticize about the tantrums that they have had. Case in point, there have been reports lately that the Meg is furious that King Charles has released products and she feels that it has stolen thunder from her American Riviera Orchard Montecito aspirations. Which is hilarious, but also, side note, people need to stop trying to make it catchy by saying RO or whatever it is that people, I've heard it in the media a few times. Let's just not do that at all. But as far as the products are concerned, let's not pretend, okay? The royal family products, like Hygro, for example, have been doing their own thing for years before the Meg even thought about doing her pitiful product lines. These reports are obviously an attempt to make it seem like, in the media at least, that the Meg wasn't copying King Charles and his line of jams, of which the proceeds go directly to charity. Everybody kept talking about how Meghan Markle copied King Charles, and so she needed to shift that narrative. Her PR people, for some stupid reason, thought that this would do that. But it hasn't. As usual, all it's done is made people do a double take and wonder what the heck they're talking about, because everybody knows, it's been known for a long time that King Charles has these products that he started back when he was Prince Charles, and it's something set up to go to charitable causes. And so nobody understands why Meghan would be so delusional to think that the king is copying her. It just makes no sense. Reading between the lines, it's easy to see that Meghan is aware that everyone recognizes that she has copied the king and the royal family's initiative of products for sale. The part she, as far as we're aware at this time, is not copying is the proceeds going to charity part. But regardless of that, I do not assume the worst. Sometimes you see something, or you see a makeup look on someone, or a haircut or something like that, and you think it's a great idea, but then you kind of totally forget about it. And then later on, you kind of think, oh, I could do this, or try that, or I want to try a makeup look like this. And you're not directly copying it because you've just kind of forgotten or didn't really realize that you had seen it somewhere else before, or whatever. Like, it can happen, technically speaking. So we should be fair and ask ourselves, could that be the case with Meghan Markle and her jams? Decidedly not, because she has done this a lot. She's copied people's stuff, their outfits, their photo shoots, their speeches, and more, many, 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 many times. There's lots of evidence of Meghan Markle borrowing ideas, plagiarizing, or directly copying something to the point where it's a little bit creepy and weird. So since there is a pattern established, then it's safe to say that she is indeed copying. The internet is not wrong this time. This circulating in the news means that she's not only aware that everybody knows that she copied Highgrove, they figured her out, she's annoyed, perhaps embarrassed, upset. She's upset that people connected the dots and found her out for copying, like pretty blatantly, pretty obviously copying the King's Highgrove products and other similar lines. So she's had a tantrum about this and got this story pushed out that she's irritated and planned to call the King to confront him over his copying her product lines. I don't really believe this story or this source at all, because one version is that Harold has had to hold her back because she's furious. That's hilariously foolish and just absurd. That image, I cannot see being a reality. But also, she's not able to just call up the King willy-nilly. In what universe does this source reside? And furthermore, just how would she confront him anyway? That she's stolen his idea, which was started by him ages ago, but surely is now run by some sort of trusted team, as the King is quite busy now. So what is there to confront about? This whole story is super silly, which, reading between the lines, means that its goal is simply to shift the narrative from the truth, which is that Meghan copied the King, to Meghan did not copy the King. And that must be true because she is so furious that Harold had to hold her back. We have to believe the Meg that she had this idea first and someone else is copying her because she's so mad about it. It must be true. Okay, moving on. The other news coming out of Camp Sussex lately is that Harry's Invictus CEO, Dominic Reid, has stepped down just days after the ESPYs Awards and his terrible speech. Regardless of if this was planned or not, him stepping down or quitting, whether or not Dominic always meant to leave after 10 years, whether there were good feelings all around or not, the timing is most unfortunate for Harry. It really brings into focus the fact that this man who has worked tirelessly from its inception was not thanked during Harry's speech. Nobody was thanked during Harry's speech, actually, when he accepted the Pat Tillman Award controversially. Harry gave zero credit to anybody else. And within a couple of days, this guy who is essentially in charge of Invictus quits. Not good. It doesn't take any great leaps to land at the conclusion that Mr. Reid was likely, quite possibly, irritated. Not necessarily with the lack of thanks, but rather more importantly, that Harry has undermined his good work and efforts, and Invictus as a whole, really, for many years now. Harry has been bringing bad press to the games, especially in the last few years. Let's take the Nigeria trip, for example. It was a complete disaster, and the fact that it was initially booked as Invictus business means that the board, the people in charge, including this Mr. Reid character, were under the impression that this trip to Nigeria could bring good press to the games, perhaps some investments, some much-needed positive publicity, which in situations like this is meant to get people excited about watching the games, participating in the games, or getting involved in some way, whether that be donations, sponsors, networking, or just people themselves who might be interested in volunteering or supporting the cause or sponsoring an athlete, or people who might be wanting to participate as athletes themselves. You want good press for those reasons. This isn't like a movie or a TV show or politics where controversy can somehow end up a positive and you can put spins on it till the sun goes down. Organizations like Invictus or charities, for example, they don't want bad press. It's difficult to spin things in those arenas, and bad press lingers. It mutes the mission, and it takes away from the cause. It doesn't support the cause. It doesn't draw people in to donate their money or their time when there's bad press. And charities or organizations like Invictus lean on people donating time and donating money. So for the team of staff, including Dominic Reid, seeing the Nigeria trip devolve into the Meghan show and get little to no press for Invictus at all was already probably a difficult hurdle for those in charge to cross. But then the Pat Tillman Award fiasco happens immediately after. There's rumors that the Winter Games, which Mr. Reid specifically mentions as something that was a goal of his to get up and running, are at risk now due to Harry and Meghan's excessive charges, like financial charges, and demands to the organizations, putting a strain on the budget and the people involved, allegedly. Apparently, there's a lot of financial issues happening behind the scenes within the organization, and a great deal of it has to do with the Sussexes in two different ways. Firstly, just plain costing a lot of money. Harry and Meghan apparently rack up exorbitant costs for Invictus by the way of clothes, hotels, security, private travel, and more. And none of this is things that they actually need, nor should they be doing, charging to a charitable, not-for-profit organization like Invictus. They should not be charging somebody like that. They are millionaires at the end of the day. Harry inherits monies from his family. He is connected to wealth. They can buy their own clothes for these sorts of events. Like, it's the least you could do is buy your own clothes, pay for your own travel to get there, because your goal should be to support it, not to take it as a free ride, which is what Harry and Meghan have been acting like. Like, this is some free ride for them all the time. Invictus is like, Invictus should be lucky to have them. So out of touch. Secondly, indirectly, they have caused these issues by becoming deterrents to donors. The Sussexes are repellent for funding. They do not bring money into the organization. In fact, their involvement is the reason why a lot of donations have fallen through and stopped flowing, both big and small. Grassroots donations, meaning just everyday people like you and I donating money to charitable causes or pet shelters or places like that. We want to know that the money that we're giving is going to be put to good use. You don't want to give it to a foundation. You don't want to give it to some organization that only gives 10% of it. Like when the grocery stores ask if you want to round up. That's a tax break for the grocery store. We don't want to donate in places like that. We want to donate where we know it'll go directly to animals in need or directly to people in need or supporting the athletes in the case of Invictus. So small donations have completely dropped off the edge of a cliff for Invictus. Nobody wants to donate to an organization like that because Harry and Meghan are all over it and because it seems like they're spending a great deal of the money. Even if that weren't true, and they weren't, the fact that that's the impression the public has is problematic enough. But big donations are also not coming through for Invictus. There's not these like big sponsors like Pepsi, and there's not any big major donations behind it anymore. That has fallen down as well. People don't want to give because of the Sussexes. So it must have been an incredibly frustrating few years for Mr. Reid, watching Harry and the Meg undermine Invictus and drive away much needed funding and more. If none of that was a factor in Dominic stepping down, it is bad optics. No matter how nicely the statements are worded, or how much Harry calls him his friend, it looks bad. There's no way around it. Organizations that are struggling and at their precipice, their downfall is about to begin, oftentimes lose long-term employees, key staff at this very moment, at this very point, like Dominic. So sadly, it's actually rather ominous for Invictus. And for Harry, well, it just highlights his lack of awareness. The man is devoid of graciousness, and this may well have been the last straw for Mr. Reid. At least that's a very obvious connection that people cannot help but see. That there's this selfish Pat Tillman acceptance, more bad publicity to the organization, a self-indulgent speech, no thankfulness, no gratitude towards anybody who puts together these events at all, no acknowledgement of anyone else's hard work, and then bam, one of the longest term, most important staff members quits immediately following that. It's a bad look. But what do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I cannot wait to read the discussion there. Thank you so much for joining me for today's brief little update video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do click the like button. It helps me out so much. And if you have not yet subscribed, be sure to click the subscribe button. It's completely free and it just helps make sure that you do not miss any upcoming videos. Thank you so much again. I hope you have a very happy day ahead and I will see you next time.